What I aim to achieve through this video, and what I'm trying to get through to you by the end of this video, is simple concepts that may seem a lot more complicated. The way SSLs play and rotate, it all seems very fast-paced and incoherent to all of us. But with my analysis board and a live replay from an SSL game, I strive to kind of make these ideas as simple and as easy to grasp as possible. Here are the timestamps on the screen. Whether you want to look at my analysis that I do at the start of the video, it'll help you get an idea, I'd recommend that, or skip immediately to replay, that could also work. But as always, try get all the information you need from this video, give me feedback, let me know what I should focus even more on, and I don't want to just hold your hand constantly and always say what to do, what he does, what this SSL will do here, why he does it. I want you to pick up on common themes that you may notice throughout the video, and I guess note them down in your brain. Without further ado though, we're going to go into the analysis part of the video. We have an offensive scenario for blue team here and defense scenario for red team. Essentially, we're trying to visualize the pattern of play that would occur typically. So we have the ball here, we have number 1 blue team on the ball, and number 1 red team is set to challenge this. And just to quickly show you the field of view of each player, number 3 is pointed this way, number 2 is kind of looking at the near post, and the ball here for blue team, number 1 player, is set to go up this wall and get typically centered through the wall, because that happens quite a lot. I'm sure you've seen that happen in almost every game. Now, number 1 has, let's say, enough boost to contest this, and number 1 here has enough boost to go up the wall. Now, it's very important to understand that a 50 can happen very often off the wall, and in the case that actually happens, so in this case, just remove all the arrows. You can hear a mouse clicking quite a lot actually throughout the video. You can see that you can go up the wall, you'll be contested, and in the 50-50, depending on how well this guy's actually challenged it, that the ball will drop out. And once the ball drops in a loose area like this, typically in a higher level game as well, number 3 almost has to automatically go to it and pick up and sweep the lost ball. So number 3, especially in a defense scenario like this, because red team is actually very deep in the field, so they'll slowly push out a little bit, not too much, so they'll hold a defensive line. Number 3 has control of the ball here, hopefully also has a boost, but here a gap is kind of created and blue team are kind of overcommitted, you could say. And I guess depending on how loose this 50 was from this situation, number 3's duty is to sweep up the lost ball, so he will get challenged whether it's by this guy or by this guy, and I guess he can rotate back. But now there's just this central gap, which again, it will be emphasized even more if the third man goes off the wall for an air dribble. Now this gap has to be plugged by second man. It's so important that as a team, and especially if you find yourself in a scenario where you were waiting for a cross inside the box, but now your teammates lost 50 and now the third man will sweep up. Now you have to actually go into the center as the second man, while number 1, if he doesn't get this boost, which is likely he won't because red team kind of is dominating this boost, it's their own field, number 1 can either pick these minis through here or through here, preferably through here, keep a central shape, and what will usually be formed, whether it goes through here or through here, ideally you're going to have once again this triangular formation between the players, and depending on how this air dribble goes, doesn't really matter for the scenario. What I'm trying to emphasize to you is that this is how rotations kind of work, very, very simplified at least. Let's just put them in our own field now, not do that. You have 3 people here, the team of 3. Typically you're rotating like this, kind of like in a triangle almost, always. That's kind of, you can be over enlarged like this. This is like a long field rotation where number 2 goes to the boost, number 1 might even go for that boost, depending on how passive the team is. You don't really want to have 2 people going for the boost, but essentially the triangular rotation means that there's 1 guy going for minis, 1 guy contesting a ball here, and number 2 collecting boost. Number 1 can push up with number 3. Typically having a 2-on-3 offensive scenario for blue, where the third man, I guess that's more intuitive having 3 as third man, is kind of between the space of 1 and 2. Well, that's what I'm trying to emphasize, I guess, in this video, and we'll see that in a live game as well. Alright, so here we're going to illustrate kind of what I'm looking at and what I'm trying to illustrate to you as a rotational idea and I guess as a positional idea in your own games, because SSL games may look completely different, may look high level, may look ridiculous, but the key themes are always there. And for example, the formation, triangular formation, the rotation over across the whole field remains a consistent idea, which we're going to look at. So this is kind of, we're going to lead up right now to a situation which I'm going to show you and I'm going to analyze. So, alright, here, orange team we're going to focus on specifically. Orange team loses the 50 and Renji kind of allows, not really a counter to start, but you know, some pressure, I guess, on orange team. Now, Takumi will kind of deal with that, so Takumi is right over here. Let's just slow down the game so we can kind of understand what's going on. So, Takumi sees the ball over there, and first of all, one key aspect here is he is very low on boost. If you not noticed, he needs to go for the pads, but there's no time for the pads. So, best case scenario here, go off the wall and just challenge that like that. Perfect. Now we see the whole formation though of orange team. We have a guy who's just rotated back post, third man, the second man who was originally waiting for a center at the start of the game basically, and this guy was kind of our aggressor of the team, and he will be the aggressor for a long time. And now we're going to see very quickly the transition to offense, because R takes a heavy touch, I guess, as an SSL especially, and these guys I think are also GC3 at the time. I don't know if all of them are SSL, but this guy has control of the ball basically. At this level, you want to hit the ball back and maintain possession, and you can already see this guy is indirectly putting pressure on the blue team by getting this boost, whereas this guy is kind of waiting as a third man. So although you'd expect this guy to be going for the center, so whatever Takumi's doing here, it's essentially he's going to put even more pressure on blue team because they're already on full boost, all of them. And while you can't see that, like in your own team you can actually see your opponent's boost, essentially you need to put pressure somehow, and this is another way of putting pressure by going for their boost. And here Takumi continues with it, kind of lets go of it, and Renji again gets a big clear, and once again you can see this formation. This time these two guys are kind of parallel, but that's fine. This guy is facing, as you can see, this way towards that boost. This guy's facing kind of near post of his own goal, and this guy Takumi is facing kind of on the wall to protect the wall and even go for the boost. But he already is really good on boost, so. And then once again another really good 50, and again you see that kind of small formation going on here. You have one guy being the aggressor, Takumi is the aggressor here, and they miss a really narrow shot here actually, but once again you see this triangular formation here being formed, and it kind of allows, as I said, if we can kind of just pay attention to this, it allows a healthy amount of area between them, while also, as I said, making each other's, I guess, the hierarchy very clear. So you have the defender, you have kind of the backboard defender, and then you have the offense here. The offensive play can start through here when the ball gets cleared towards here. So let's clear and remove that. There we go. And here again we see the transition and attack. However, this time I think incorrectly here they both sit back. This is kind of something I didn't like while watching this. I think beta bow should kind of not be turned this way when your own teammate is also turned this way. And the reason why this is bad is because, simply put, no one is ready to challenge for a midfield ball, especially if your most aggressive player is kind of out position. So both of them cannot be facing their own goal here. Again, this is a high level game, so this is really won't impact, especially when your teammate can win a 50 like that. And again, we're taking another fly view of the field. Here they're kind of congested, but pass me please has no boost, so he's kind of stuck there. Now he becomes the passive, I guess, asset of the team, and now you can see the third man pillaging in to cover a gap created. So we're going to see this happen. You can see the rotation back, and again, second man will cover the center, where the third man now kind of becomes the most passive asset of the team. Takumi here has control of the ball, kind of, and he gets actually a really good 50 for his team. As you can see, his team is pretty far back, but once again, this illustrates it even better. Just a huge triangle here. You have the guy who's ready to go here at some point, a guy ready to push infield, and a guy who can either go for this side boost if Pass Me Please decides to go infield, or if that doesn't happen, if Pass Me Please goes for the side boost, then he can take pads through here and rotate back, while this guy can also head through a mini pad area. Finally, here we're going to see a really fast transition to the defense, which I want to show as well at this crucial moment here, where Takumi wins a really good aerial, but now that's an awkward bounce, and if you can't really score this, you're kind of forced on the back foot immediately. And here you can see, right, Takumi heads infield to the pads, as there's no boost throughout the side. He sees that, he clocks it through his field of view, he knows there's no boost there, and he cannot go all the way to this big boost, so he goes immediately infield to the pads, and Betebo will actually immediately challenge this to allow this teammate to get some boost, while Pass Me Please is also forced to recover as fast as possible. Already, the shape, the triangular shape, takes form once again. You have one guy who's slightly on the front foot, one guy who's controlling the center, and a guy who is the third man. That's a very key theme in this video, and if you've picked up on this, please understand what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that while you can't exactly play very, structured in Rocket League, I'm not saying that, you can though have a fluid theme going on, such as knowing when to go to the center, knowing when to go to the pads, or knowing essentially when to push up. Knowing when to push up will probably win you most of your games. Knowing when to read your defense or read your offense. That's kind of what allows SSLs to, I guess, elevate their game more and more as they play the game. And again, this ended up in a goal. They had very good rotation. They managed to counter immediately almost. I mean, look at this. They're under attack. Cleared. Of course, he misses out, which is kind of sloppy. And now there's a huge gap in blue team because they overcommitted. As I said, when you have 3 people in the other side of the field as your own team, you're kind of, I guess, you're messed up really. And once again, we see this theme again highlighted, and kind of fakes him out as well for the goal.